Remember that song, An Alphabet of Winter Dreams? It was this beautiful tribute to all the hope and hype for the Milano Cortina 2026 Olympics. It painted this incredible picture of legends from A to Z, all on a path to glory. Well, the game's just wrapped, and now we've got the sequel. We're going to answer the huge question that song left hanging. What actually happened to all those dreams? Let's get into it.
You know the one. That song was basically an anthem of what could be. It laid out this absolute dream team of winter sports icons, and it felt like they were all on this collision course with destiny in Italy. It was the perfect prediction of greatness. But, as we all know, a whole lot can happen in 4 years. And here's where we hit the cold, hard truth. An Olympic cycle is 4 long years. It's this brutal gauntlet of time, injuries, and performance slumps. So the big question we're really digging into here is this. Did the reality of 2026 even come close to the promise of that song?
And that brings us to our first major reality check. You know, that journey to an Olympic podium, it's probably one of the most selective processes on the planet. And for that epic roster of athletes from the song, yeah, it was no different for them.
Okay, so this slide, it just lays it all out there. Take a look at this list of names, straight from the song. Now, look to the right at their status for the 2026 games. You see that phrase, did not compete? It just shows up over and over and over again. The tough truth is, the vast majority of these legends had either retired or just didn't make the cut. And this chart really puts it into perspective. I mean, just look at how tiny that returning group was. The heroes of the last few Olympics had, for the most part, passed the torch. That dream team from the song, turns out it was really more of a legacy lineup. But, and this is a really big but, for that small handful who did come back to compete Milano Cortina, oh man, their stories weren't just footnotes, they were the main event. They came back to prove exactly why they were legends in the first place.
Which brings us right here to the vindication of the veterans. We're talking about the athletes who didn't just show up to wave to the crowd. No, they showed up to dominate, and they delivered performances that were just packed with gold, grit, and glory.
First up, you gotta talk about the USA's Mikaela Shiffrin. She came into these games as arguably the greatest of all time, but man, the pressure on her shoulders was immense. She hadn't actually won an Olympic gold since way back in Pyeongchang in 2018. And then, she did this. In the women's slalom, she just put down 2 flawless runs. Her combined time was 1 minute, 39.10 seconds. Now, if you don't follow skiing, let me tell you, winning a slalom race by 1.5 seconds, that's almost impossible. It's an eternity in this sport. It was a massive statement of pure dominance. So you have to understand, this wasn't just another win for her trophy case. This was a redemption story. This win silenced any and all doubts and absolutely cemented her legacy. That long, frustrating wait for another Olympic gold, over. All right, next up, let's talk about the Norwegian force of nature, Johannes Klæbo. He came into these games as a cross-country skiing superstar, and he left them as a history maker. The only thing you really need to see on this slide is that number right there, 10. By anchoring Norway to gold in the team sprint, Klæbo grabbed his 10th career Olympic gold medal. That makes him, and this is just incredible, the most successful cross-country skier in the history of the Winter Games. A living legend just adding to the myth. And, of course, we absolutely have to talk about the heart of the host nation, Italy's very own Sofia Goggia. Her story at these games was just pure resilience. She was competing with the hopes of an entire country on her back, especially after coming back from a really serious injury in 2024. And what she pulled off was just a masterclass in consistency. With her bronze medal in the downhill at Cortina, she completed a historic hat trick: gold, silver, and now bronze, in the same event across 3 straight Olympics. No woman had ever done that before. But her all-or-nothing style was also on full display. She didn't finish her other events, which just reminds you of the razor's edge she's always skiing on. Okay, so we've seen the legends who showed up and delivered. But the Olympics are never that simple, right? Let's get into the plot twists and cliffhangers, the stories that were anything but straightforward. And in one case, a story that isn't even over yet. One of the wildest subplots involved the short-track speed skater Lou Shalan Sandor. Back in 2018, he was a national hero in Hungary, part of the team that won the country's first ever Winter Olympic gold.
Fast forward to 2026, and he and his brother are competing for China. It's this fascinating look at a modern trend in sports, where top athletes will follow the best coaching no matter what flag is on the uniform.
Talk about a classic changing of the guard story. In Polish ski jumping, we saw this incredibly poignant passing of the torch. The legendary champion Kamil Stoch really struggled in what was his fifth Olympic Games. But just as his star was fading, a new one was born. 19-year-old Kasper Tomasak just exploded onto the scene, becoming this huge surprise star with 2 individual medals. Now, for all of you who are fans of our original song and are looking for a story that's still happening right now, this one is for you. South Korea's short track empress, Choi Min-jung. She made it to Milan. But her story there? It's not over. She's already got a gold medal locked up, leading her team to a huge victory in the 3,000-meter relay. But as of right now, as we're talking on February 18th, her games aren't finished. She has one more race, the 1,500 meters this Friday, where she's chasing yet another historic medal. The final chapter of her Milan story is still unwritten.
So when you put it all together, what does it all mean? Well, these individual stories, the veterans, the rookies, the cliffhangers, they all start to paint a much bigger picture about where winter sports are actually heading. What it all seems to point to are 3 really big trends. First, what we're calling technical IQ is beating raw power. Veterans like Shiffrin and Klæbo won by being smarter and more tactical. Second, coaching has gone totally global, shattering those old national monopolies on training. And third, environmental volatility, weather delays and changing conditions, is now a real competitive factor. It's testing an athlete's mental toughness just as much as their physical skill. Which kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. That song, An Alphabet of Winter Dreams, it captured one perfect moment in time. But what Milano Cortina 2026 showed us is that the story is always changing, always evolving. As today's legends find new ways to win and a whole new generation of stars bursts onto the scene, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Who are the names we're going to be singing about 4 years from now?